So good evening, dear friends. A very warm welcome to all the students. We have a very distinguished panels today. And I know all of you are in a lot of confusion on how to choose the right institution. So today we have a galaxy of vice chancellors from some of the most prestigious universities of India. Our topic today is how should students evaluate and decide on a university admissions in 2020. So this webinar is an extension of the virtual admissions fair which is being organized by us. It's a great opportunity for students from the comfort of your home to directly go and meet the admissions team, chat with them on WhatsApp, on a phone call, get all your doubts cleared on fees, etc. And the best part is many of them are also offering scholarships, so make the best use of it. I have with me today Dr. Ashwin Fernandes from QS iGauge, based out of Singapore, who's going to be moderating the session. Ashwin has been with QS Group since 2012. In his current role as the regional director, he works closely with universities in Middle East, North Africa, and Southeast Asia. He's also the part of the founding leadership team of QS iGauge and was instrumental in establishing the framework for QS iGauge rating services. QS iGauge is India's first nationwide higher education rating system for colleges and universities pan-India. So we have a very distinguished moderator as well. So over to Ashwin. Please introduce to all the students our vice chancellors for today's session.
Indeed, Sanjeev, pleasure to moderate this grand panel. I think I'm distinguished, distinguished people here today. I will do a quick introduction. I have the bios of everyone and I'll do a quick introduction because I picked up some very important elements of all the distinguished panelists. So first we have Professor Raj Kumar, who's the founding Vice Chancellor of OP Jindal Global University, which is situated in Sonipat, Haryana. He was appointed at an age of 34 in 2009 when the university was established to become one of the youngest Vice Chancellors, I'm told. He's a professor of law and his academic qualifications are from University of Oxford, Harvard University, University of Hong Kong, University of Delhi and Loyola College. In total, he has 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees and a PhD. An interesting fact of Professor Raj, he's also a Rhodes Scholar, a prestigious scholarship program by the University of Oxford, which is offered to aspiring candidates from the Commonwealth countries, including India, where 5 students are selected annually for a fully covered scholarship program in the UK. So welcome, Professor Raj. We have next another distinguished panelist, Professor Dr. Balvinder Shukla, who is the Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, and Senior Vice President of the Ritnad Balved Education Foundation. Dr. Shukla has been with the Amity Group for over 20 years in various capacities. She has a PhD from Queen's University, UK, an MTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Kharagpur, and has worked with some of the most prestigious institutions in the world, including Queen's University, Bloomington State University, British Petroleum, Delhi University, and so on. Welcome, Professor Shukla. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Moving on, our next panelist, Professor Dr. Prabhu Aggarwal, who is the president of NIIT University, located in Neemrana in Rajasthan. He was the founding vice chancellor of Raigad-based OP Jindal University, and prior to that, he was with the Mason School of Business Mason School of Business at College of William and Mary in Virginia, USA, and the University of Washington Business School. He has a PhD and MBA from the University of Washington and his bachelor's in technology from IIT Kanpur. So we're very happy to have you with us, Professor Prabhu. Moving on, another distinguished panelist, Professor I.K. Bhatt, is the Vice Chancellor of Manav Rachna University, located in Faridabad, Haryana. He was previously the director of the National Institute of Technology, NIT Hamirpur in Himachal Pradesh, NIT Delhi, NIT Jalandhar in Punjab, Triple IT Kota in Rajasthan. He has his Bachelor's of Engineering degree and in Mechanical Engineering from NIT Srinagar, and MTech and PhD degrees from IIT Kanpur. Welcome, Professor Bhatt. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Very distinguished academic amongst all. And last but not the least, Professor Dr. Kamlesh Mishra, who is the Vice Chancellor of Rishihood University, also situated in Sonipat, Haryana. And I think Sonipat has become a bed for some of the best institutions there. Besides his illustrious career in academia, he's an economist and he has been a member of the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy in New Delhi, and also a member of the first Punjab Finance Commission. He received a grant from the US Aid Agency to undergo a program on fiscal decentralization and financial management of local and regional governments at Harvard University. He has received his PhD in economics from Northeastern University in Boston, and his BCom and MA from Allahabad University. Welcome, Professor Kamlesh Mishra. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, and welcome to all of you all for joining this panel. So we have our audience here. We have many students here. There are questions coming in. Now, the first question which everyone has on its mind, and I would like to go around to everyone with this with short answer, is as universities may continue to operate in an online mode for the foreseeable future, what is that one piece of advice would you like to give to students who are looking to get a higher education degree in the next couple of weeks, looking to enroll in a university in a program? So what should their choices be during this pandemic, and what should they be looking at in a university? So we'll start with Professor Raj and we'll go around the round table.
Thank you very much, Ashwin, and thank you, Affairs and iGate, and of course, SANJEEV for bringing all of us together. Well, first of all, I would say that the most fundamental aspects of universities have not changed, and that will remain so. In fact, one of the remarkable things about universities is its enduring abilities to not change the most critical elements of what a university is and what it should be doing. So for all the students who are watching this program, I will say that if you were to make a choice as to which university you would like to consider, the first and foremost you will look at is who are the faculty in that university. I think the most critical aspect of any institution is its faculty. First is faculty. Second is that what kind of research ecosystem that the university provides, because most of what a student does, both in terms of their educational journey, but also in the future, will be part of their ability to learn and to acquire knowledge and skills and to participate in that journey in a professional context after they graduate. So what kind of research ecosystem that the institution provides. The third is, in my view, is something which has become a very, I would say, a fundamental thing in institution, not when I went to university in India, is internationalization. To what extent the university has created, collaborations for students to participate internationally, how their collaborations have benefited students, what kind of opportunities they have provided for. And the fourth is that to what extent both domestic and international recognitions in the form of rankings and accreditation and assessment and other types of accolades the institution has given, because at the end of the day, institutions make many claims, and that's not only true within India, but also abroad as well. So you have a benchmark, you have a transparent way of assessing the quality of the institution. And the fifth, I think, which has become even more important today than ever before, is the larger availability of infrastructure, including healthcare infrastructure, well-being in general. Because if you are looking at an institution which is also a residential institution today, parents and students have legitimate concerns about what kind of physical infrastructure is available for students so that they can focus on their academic and other types of activities that they want to do. So this provides a holistic learning environment. That's what parents and students should think about when they make a choice as to where they want to study.
Brilliant. That's 5 really important points. I would like to put that question to Professor Shukla and add on, while we might look at all these great things, we definitely are going to be online for the next few months. So what is that additional thing would you suggest students should be looking for while selecting the university?
Thank you, Dr. Ashwin. I would, draw the attention of all the students that law of impermanence, implying that nothing is permanent in life, this phase to also go. So at the same time, I would advise all the students that that uncertainty, the choices food for mind, as it makes us more innovative and creative. Look at the way how we can adapt to the new normal, and therefore there is nothing to be desperate about or worry about it. as Raj has said that you look at the faculty, you look at the scholarly activities, internationalization. I would like to add the industry engagement is very, very important. What you really give to the student, because at the end of the day, the skills and competencies have to be aligned with the industry requirement. And secondly, in this environment, which is the university which supports the entrepreneurship development. That's extremely important, that how you support the student for the entrepreneurship development. What kind of the student support facilities are available on campus as well as in the virtual world. So the students are engaged in their learning as well as in development. And the accreditation or ranking or the awards recognition, those are the today the in a way that hygiene factors, I would say.
That question moves on to Professor Prabhu. And if you can elaborate from your side, I mean, you've come from an international background, and you also have taught in India as well. So what is that, students should be looking at? What's your advice to them, especially again, because it's going to be online. And while we have good entrepreneurship, COVID-19 has changed the definition of jobs, I would say, currently. And in the future, we still don't know. Many jobs are being redundant. So what is that focus you would like to ask students to look at?
Okay, thank you, Ashwin, and thank you all the colleagues here for being here as part of this roundtable. I think many of my colleagues like Raj and Dr. Shukla have already alluded to some of the fundamental constructs of a university, that, faculty, infrastructure, the hygiene factors, the usual things. I think I just want to concentrate a little bit more on the COVID-19 situation, which is going on right now. And I think I want to say three things to the students. One is, a lot of students, a lot of so-called universities are moving to online learning. I want them to seriously consider, what does online learning mean, and what have universities done to invest? It's not about putting a faculty member or a student in front of a camera and say, okay, now teach and learn. There's pedagogically very, very different things that are happening. Now, we would say that try to dig deeper in trying to understand what the pedagogical constructs of learning from home and teaching from home mean. What does ed technology mean, right? We benefit from 40 years of, as our founding group, NIIT has been in the ed tech space for 40 years. So we have created and been doing this long before COVID came. So that, I think, is a very important construct, right? The second important construct is, what jobs do you look for 4 years from now? Isn't it apparent to all of us that digitally driven, data-driven jobs will survive COVID and will be in demand? We, again, are a technology-focused program, which is really focused on Industry 4.0 skills. So if the student is looking for, that strong, what I would call recession-proof jobs market, then they should look for, programs that help them, prepare them for that next 4 years down the road where they're going to be. The fourth, I think the third thing that's important, and Dr. Shukla alluded to it, is we have a very strong foundation. One of our 4 pillars at the university is our Industry Connect program, in industry-linked programs. Every student, every undergraduate student who comes to NIIT University spends 6 months on the job. It's not an internship. It's their last semester with a partner. It's our responsibility. 90% of those convert to PPOs in 3 months. So this is almost like a natural progression for those people. So about 80% of our students pursue careers in technology, the technology space. And we have, placements are a natural outcome of all this. So this is an important thing that a lot of students think about, is placements and all that stuff. So I think I'm just extending my discussion on what Raj and Dr. Shukla said, to focus on the type of courses that you want to take, the topics, the fact of what learning and teaching from home will mean, and how is the university preparing you for it. And lastly, what if you're a job seeker. But I also want to say to this whole concept of entrepreneurship and startups is a very important concept. And which schools are actually incubating these ideas and giving you the constructs to kind of formulate plans around these ideas is important also. So I think those are some of the key points that I would focus on right now. But the student should look for the fitment, should look for, the course types, the faculties, of course, always going to be a very important piece around these ideas.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Prabhu. Professor Bhatt, do you want to add on? What is that? You have been with public.
Yeah, what has been said is absolutely right. In fact, first of all, let me thank you for calling me here. I think the student should also evaluate that what are his aspirations. He should not fall into the category that because his parents told him to join this profession and therefore he is in this. It must be his aspiration, it must be his passion. And once he has decided about it, that what he wants to do in his life or her life, then the choice of the institution becomes very important. And then he has to understand what type of academics is being done, what non-academic activities are done in the institution, what are the career options there, and similar other things which are very, very important, in fact, have to be done. Now, when we look at this, I think the teaching learning process and the research becomes one of the very essential elements of any good educational institution. So therefore, the focus should be that is the contemporary areas and disciplines being addressed. As has been already said, there are a lot of reports. IBM has published a report and many others have published a report that 60% of the jobs in next 2 years will be eliminated and there will be new type of jobs which are not present as of today. And by 2030, people are talking about 85% of the jobs will not be there which are currently available to the students. So therefore, these students who will be entering into these institutions need a different skill set. And the institutions must be preparing them with some innovative ideas, some new research ideas, and this must be part of their whole curriculum. So the flexibility in the academic system has to be seen whether it exists in an institution or not. The credit accumulation, fast track, slow track, giving a break in between, focus on niche areas will become very, very important. And the three 21st century skills which are considered, three categories. In fact, one is learning and innovative skills which are in the domain knowledge, which talk about critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, innovations has become very, very important. The second is everybody has to understand how the tools of today are being utilized in understanding different subjects. So the ICT skills have become very important. When we are talking about online education, then this is the only tool which is helping us today actually in reaching to the students. And the third one, which is becoming very, very essential today and which everybody is talking about, life skills. Does a student have life skills? Is he flexible? Is he adaptable? Does he have the self-direction? Is he socially and cross-cultural, good at social and cross-cultural interaction? Does he have the leadership quotient in him? Is he accountable? And these are very, very important things which needs to be understood. And the student has to really pick up these ideas because when he leaves this institution, these jobs which are current jobs, which he must be focusing at, will not be there. So he will be equipped by the institution by giving him idea about the contemporary areas like artificial intelligence, machine learning. All these things will become very, very data analytics, nanotechnology. They will become very, very essential. And therefore, the institution, wherever he is going, and I'm talking with reference to the technology areas, these areas will become very, very essential in order to see that the institute, they are being groomed rightly, which is very, very important. Maybe with these initial remarks, we can come back after some time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Bhatt. I think I'd like to put that question with another question we have got from the audience, because there's a huge focus from all the panelists on skills. And Professor Mishra, I would like the question to come to you on your advice, but I'd like to add another question from the audience, from Shakshi Kale, which says, can I completely depend on the university for growth of my skills? So your advice plus this question, if you'd like to answer this. You're muted, Professor Mishra.
Okay, I think that's a very typical kind of a student question, that, you know, will the university make me a very successful person or give me all the skills? I think a lot of it depends on not only the university and the great teachers, but it also depends on the level of determination that the student has to acquire those skills and to become successful. Unfortunately, what happens is that a lot of great universities end up with very mediocre students also, and they don't have the drive to achieve things that they want to, and so there is sort of a mismatch that happens. I think it's important for students to leverage everything that is available in the university. There is so much available in the university system in India and abroad, any university. But students hardly take advantage of those things. You know, they would rather go out and sit in a dhaba than to take advantage of a lot of things that are going on. On a nice, vibrant university campus, there may be 20 different things that are happening. There could be a lecture that is going on, there could be meditation that is going on, there could be spiritual talk that is going on, there could be some skill development concepts that are being pursued there. So, you know, I'm not saying that every student has to be there in all of them, but I think it's important for every student to identify and be in some of these places and take advantage of the great people that come there to help them understand those things. Unfortunately, you know, and that's the reason I always keep on saying that, and I agree so much with a lot of what the other vice chancellors have said, that what are those key elements that we look for as a student? What would I want to look at, you know, when I'm in this kind of a situation? Well, faculty definitely, but I'll also look at the type of students. I'm going to be a student, right? Is this institution the one that has my type of students, or the type of students I would like to be associated with? What is the profile of the students of this university? I definitely want to. I would encourage students, and I think it's important for a lot of for students to take this very seriously. Please try and stay in the hostel. That's an amazing life experience that you are going to have, because nobody can teach you how to be independent except yourself. Right? So if you have an opportunity to be in a residential campus, do it. It's very, very important. You know, also try and look at institutions from the point of view of what is the kind of culture that is there. Is the institution an open institution? Do I have to think the same way, or can I be different? Does the institution allow me to question things? Because unfortunately, when institutions don't allow students to question, students stop learning. I think it's important for them to identify institutions that are willing to nurture the curiosity of the student and actually get that curiosity out. They must ask a lot of questions. Because until we force students to ask questions, they're not going to learn. I think the whole concept of learning through debates and discussions is more important than learning through lectures. I personally am not a great favorite of lectures. You know, I think we should not lecture more than 15-20% of the students. We need to make them learn, because what happens is that lectures only make me as a teacher complete the course.
Indeed.
But if my focus is on making students learn, then my approach is going to be very different. So I think a combination of these things, no educational institution can make people successful, right? I have a lot of friends who have done very, very well from Harvard and other places, but I have lot of my friends from the same institutions who have not done, right? So it all, and I think the main difference is how much did that student really take from that institution. And they have to walk that extra mile to take advantage, right? And that's very common. And I think that's the way that students should be approaching at this point, which institutions they are going to go. Please walk into the institution. I know it's difficult at this time. Walk, smell it. You will feel it. If you smell it good, if you feel it good, go for it. If you have discomfort, don't worry. It is not just the institution that makes everything. It's a combination of the institution, the culture, the student, their own determination. Everything is put together to make them successful.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Kamlesh Mishra, for that. And I think it would be a great idea to actually for students to look at a campus and feel the campus, talk to students, talk to alumni perhaps. But how are we going to achieve that? Or how can students achieve it in the next 10 days where they can't travel out? So I'm going to open it up to any of the panelists who would like to take that. What have you all done in your institution to enable students to get the same kind of experience, what they would get on campus to an online mode? Like we're having this career fair right now, which would be in a hall in Delhi, and SANJEEV, we've been there last year, we've seen it, but we are doing it online. So what is that you're doing differently, and what's a student should look for or ask for when they're doing this online? Anyone on the panel can take this up, please.
So Ashwin, I'll say that obviously everybody knows that we are in a very difficult situation, and physical engagement and maybe even visits to campus and taking a tour of the campus, all of that is going to be limited in some way. So I think, and many people said, including Dr. Mishra said that a lot of what, at least universities which have some history, we are 11 years old, so people know it. In fact, one of the things about education and education institutions is that regardless of whatever we say about us, students actually know about us better. So there is a reputation. Institution has its own reputation, and that is what's going to matter now most. So I will say the 2020 academic year is going to be far more based upon pre-existing reputational advantage of individual institutions than whatever the institution is about it, one. And secondly, I think the reality is students are going to make choices not so much on the base of the physical infrastructure, which I think is important, but is going to be based upon the reputation, which is going to be dependent upon faculty and alumni and existing students. For example, I mean, if you have a university with, let's say, I can say about ourselves, we have 5,500 students now and 3,000 plus alumni in the last 11 years. So when students are going to make choices about whether they should study at Jindal or anywhere, they will be going to talk, they'll be talking to our current students, they'll be talking to possibly their parents, and they'll be talking to our alumni and their parents. And of course, some of them will talk to employers as well. So in some ways, this is a moment when institutions have to recognize that there is a lot of dependence on online. Now, of course, you can do a virtual tour of the campus and webinars. I mean, our university the last 4 months has done over 550 webinars, and there is a very interesting cartoon which is going around, which there's a person in this webinar, like how it is, and only the skeleton is left, and it says death by webinar. So we are all getting into that situation of death by webinar, but that's the only way we are able to communicate with people at large, like what we are doing today. So in a way, I think it's the most important part is, so I'll say one thing, the private universities are going to come out stronger than ever before during COVID-19. A, most of them, if not all, of the private universities have been better organized. B, they have been better in communication. And C, they've been able to keep the students' interests as paramount. And 4, they have been resilient because you know what? They don't have the luxury of taxpayers' money to be given with little or no accountability and to be always available for it to be spent. Private universities need to work very hard to be able to convince parents and students to make the choices that they make when it comes to deciding which institution. And the last I would say is that private universities are also accountable to a large extent to students because students clearly tend to pay more when they study at private universities as opposed to public institutions. And so in public universities have the luxury of not actually being so much accountable to the students. So this is a moment for private universities and for all of us who are here. And I think we have a lot to be confident about the future.
Thank you so much, Professor Raj. I would like to go to Sanjeev because this is the first time, and I'll then go to the panel again. I want Sanjeev to reflect. And students who are watching today, the questions, we will pick up your questions, and I have specific questions to specific panelists. But Sanjeev, what can the students look forward for in the fair today, which is online? What kind of technology systems have you put in place so students can get all the answers?
Begin with Ashwin. Let me first add on. I think this COVID pandemic has provided us a very unique opportunity to pick up skills, right? For the last 25 years, we were only concentrating on gathering crowd. So our education fairs was all about increasing crowd, but we had to unlearn and get on to adapt and learn up a new skill where we could still manage to get all the crowd, but virtually. So this time we've got the entire feel of the exhibition is completely the same, but we've done it virtually. So here today, the exhibition is on today and tomorrow till tomorrow. So here students can come and meet the admissions team of more than 30 universities, some of the top universities from India, who are offering counseling immediately on WhatsApp, on a video chat, or on a phone call. Plus, they can come and interact, get to know about the courses, download their brochures, and some of them are even offering scholarships. So I think it's a great experience from the comfort of your home with a cappuccino or a masala tea in hand. You get to meet all the top-notch universities, while before they had to travel to go to the exhibition. Now the universities have come home. So I think this is a great opportunity where everybody is unlearning, learning, and doing things in the new way.
All right, thank you.
I'll just add, in fact, what Sanjeev has already said. In fact, this mood has really picked up actually, and a lot of students are approaching, calling, and the admission teams are there in every university. In fact, especially in the private universities, the teams keep on working. The universities are open. If somebody wants to come, he is welcome, and he is shown that what is available in the university. We have people from 13 states, 16 states, and almost from 8-9 countries abroad. So therefore, it is very difficult for everyone to come to the campus. But this virtual tour does help them in getting some idea. But this is available on the website. Most of the people have a lot of information available on website regarding their academics, regarding their extra and co-curricular activities, and similar other things also, what facilities are available, what student support is available there, counseling service, mentorship, all these things are given on the website. And there are also on the website people from persons from industry, people who are alumni, the current students, what is their view about the university, how things are going on, is also posted. And I think it gives fairly a good idea to the student that what is happening in the university, and based upon his ultimate decision, he can pick up, he can keep on choosing some of these universities and trying to zero in on some of them, and then finally finalize where he would like to go.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Bhatt. My question for Professor Shukla. I know that Amity does a lot of work in online space, but now with everything going online for the next few months, how are you going to make the classes enjoyable to students? Are the classes shorter? Yesterday, I heard a speaker telling me that they have act in the middle of the session. So we'd like to know from you, Professor Shukla, what is that you'll be doing in the coming months to make online classes enjoyable?
See, when the lockdown started, we immediately moved from the face-to-face learning to remote teaching using the online platform, and without wasting even a single day. And that experience of month of March and April has given immense experience to us. You know, what works in the remote teaching or the online teaching and what does not work. And the last 2 months have been only to work out that what will give the real experience to the students. So today we have for all the courses, the e-content is available to the students online. They can go and see the what session is going to be conducted. But the class has become more interactive, where the student will be posed with the problem or the issues or the case study and discussing. The small groups have been made, so a lot of group activities will happen online. There will be every single student will be catered to their requirements, so the learning happens not only few select ones, the front benchers like that. Everybody is in the front bench there in the online this thing. So for everybody, the learning will be taking place. So the lot of uh, ICT tools catering to the objective of a particular course. Accordingly, the ways the ICT tools have been identified by the faculty, and so that the students can have better learning. Lot of the activity there, as I said, the group based and also the case study based will be done to make the really learning enjoyable. We revamp the curriculum in big way this time, so that the students have less time into the, so the no lecture mode is there in the classes, only the interactive is there, and the assignment based, so the students are doing, so the assessment is continuous, not that you do the first assignment assessment, then middle of the assignment, and at the end of the assignment, but the continuous is every day. So the faculty knows which a student is facing the difficulty, is not able to keep pace, so the separate session for such a student can be taken to bring them at par with the pace of the class. So therefore, the more the problem-based learning, so the higher order learning. So knowledge and understanding comes from the e-content already provided to them. They can practice, they can go through n number of times available, but the class comes the way that they can have the application orientation, analytical oriented, evaluation oriented, and finally they are able to create something. So the higher order cognitive skills, and also that we were talking about the industry 4.0, that the higher order cognitive skills will be required because of the artificial intelligence, data analytics, IoT, robotics and all, which was forcing around 4 or 5 years down the line. But because of the COVID, it has come on the doorsteps right now. So how to build those cognitive skills? That's the very, very important. So to make the students industry ready today, because the COVID has impacted industry in a way, even the manufacturing university now looking at the let's use the robotics, rather going for 4 years down the line the right now. Or so many manufacturing units are. So how do students become ready? So the gone are the days when the rote learning is not going to make them professional. It is only the skill based learning is very, very important. So the lot of club committee activities, because it's also important how you enjoy your life, how you interact with your peer group, how you feel that campus life, though you are not in the campus, but how can you really have that feel of meeting and greeting the peer group and the batchmates? And so a lot of the interaction with the seniors, juniors, the fellow student is being organized so that the students can. I would like to share that, when the lockdown happened, immediately after that, we had the Amity Youth Festival. We could not organize on the campus because we had to cancel more than 20 conferences we cancelled. But then we moved to the online. The first thing we did, within 15 days, we started organizing Amity Youth Forum. 14,000 students from across the globe participated in 90 competitions. And that brought the mood of the every youth. Yes, okay, even this time when the difficult situation is, there's something is happening to engaging them meaningfully, creatively. And that's how that every university, as Raj has said, the private university will emerge winners because they will be doing the things differently to keeping the student engaged meaningfully
Sure. Thank
and making their life and learning and skill development what industry needs. So I think we are better positioned because we invested in technology right from the beginning.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Shukla. I would like to put a question to Professor Prabhu. And a student asked, what about students who have, and this question is coming from Prajit Tracy, which says, what about students who have chosen a field they want to go for, but due to the current conditions, those fields are almost extinct? What should students do all the life they've been hearing that these are the best jobs and suddenly they are extinct? And you're doing a lot of work in, because NIIT is a group which has been in technology space for 40 years. So what is your piece of advice to the student?
So I think this is the first degree kind of thing that we are talking about here. I really can't imagine a field just disappearing. I think the field, or whatever field is, has he specified a specific field? So we can take.
No, they haven't specified a field.
Okay.
So,
So I would, no, I mean, just, technology. So think about it this way. Technology is just an enabler. Okay. So whatever field this person is looking for, even in, in arts and sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, liberal arts, I just cannot imagine any of these things disappearing. In fact, these are going to get even more important, if you may ask me. We have talked about technology and technology-driven pedagogical approaches and teaching and learning. What we are finding, we have a center of excellence in education technology headed by, some of the thought leaders in this country on this topic. And the psychology and the behavior issues of learning and teaching from home are even more paramount today. So I can't imagine that psychology and sociological impact, the economics of education. I mean, if you look at education in itself, the writing skills, critical skills, problem-solving skills, you all talked about it just 5 minutes ago, are never going to become extinct. In fact, are going to be even more sought after. So EQ, the emotional quotient of a person, is going to get even more important than IQ. So yeah, I say to this young boy or young girl, hey, follow your passion, get your first degree. This is what, because if you just get a degree in an area because you want a job, you're making the wrong choice. If you're taking a degree in an area that's going to prepare you for the future, then you're doing the right thing for yourself. Okay, so that's my short answer to your question. Just follow your passion, get into an area that excites you, then you will go ahead, you will do things, you will adapt to the skills that you need to do well in that area.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Prabhu. I'll go to Professor Bhatt. And there's a question coming in from an anonymous attendee. There's no name, but it says students have to give entrance exams to enter a good college. Cracking a highly competitive entrance exam is really difficult for average students. So don't these students who actually get high, who go through this entrance exams, deserve a facility of high-end technology and research facilities? And I think they're aiming at public institutions here. So is this the reason for lack of innovation in the country? So would you like to take that on? And because you've been with
I think as has been said by Dr. Prabhu and others also, what is important is aligning an institution with the area of passion is the most important thing. And the current technology and the tools which we are talking about today, which we are using for online learning, might change after 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Its life is very limited. New technologies will come and they will replace the old technologies. Forget about that. But your passion to do something, what is your strength? Look at that. What is your strength? And then work in that direction will become very, very important. You need to understand that we have 100 universities, almost 100 universities, and we have 50,000 colleges in the country. And there is always some one place for you, reserved for you actually. It depends upon how you are trying to reach to that goal actually. So therefore, everyone has to navigate. Everyone has to see that what is his passion and what he wants to do, what are his aspirations, and in how does he want to contribute ultimately to the society will become the most important thing. So therefore, there are amazing opportunities for all of us. Today, world is integrated as far as learning is concerned. People are talking about flexible study options. People say that I'll study for 2 years and then take leave and do something and then come back and learn something. People are talking about online learning. People are talking about that I do not want a degree, I want a nano degree where I specialize with 4 or 5 subjects and start my own venture actually. So therefore, there is so much happening actually across the globe in this educational sector. It is for the student to see, evaluate himself and to pick up an institution that enriches his or her study experience. That is what is most important. So that is how things have to be seen. Forget about, see, people like me have studied in ordinary institutions. I have studied in a village actually, right? Staying on the ground where there was no building was available. So therefore, that really does not matter. What matters is what is the culture of that school which is educating you. This is important. Are you getting the right type of education? I don't want you to be in a race of rat race of being in competition. You need to be a human being. You have to adopt. You have to create. You must have qualities of what is known as lifelong learning, emotional quotient, love for others, compassion for others. If that school is giving you that, I think that is the right place, even if it might not be a very highly ranked institution, right?
Just one comment, if I may. Just one comment, if I may. I just wanted to redefine entrance exams as rejection exams, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
They're really not, they are not selecting any students, they're rejecting students, right? They're completely designed for throwing people out, not getting them in, not looking at, just the whole personality. And I think the private universities are doing a fantastic job on selecting students and giving them a much greater chance of success in life.
Thank you so much for that point. So, Professor Mishra, my question to you is coming from Sayak Mukherjee, one of the students, which says, apart from monetary involvement, people still favor IITs, NITs, GTFI rather than private. Why? Industry also provide better opportunities to all of those. So, what is the reason behind this notion? And I think we've had some answers from Professor Prabhu and Professor Bhatt. So I'd like to hear this from you. And any piece of advice for students?
My response to that is, I think it's a cultural fix we are in. When we created IITs, we invested very heavily. They were based on a certain Western model. It was the need at that time, and therefore getting into the IITs was that you have made it in life. I think what happens in IIT is not that their teaching is much better. I think their students are much better. In fact, I always say that in IITs you don't need to teach. You take the cream of the whole country, and they are all very disciplined students. They're determined students, and they do their work. But I think not getting into IITs is not a failure. Let's put it that way. And if you really look at the scenario that we are today in, if you were to take public sector institutions versus private sector institutions, I think we have a larger number of students who are coming out of private institutions who are becoming successful compared to those in the government. And that also may be because of a tilted sense of data, that there may be more students who are going into the private sector, and therefore we have more success stories. But also please try and understand the major contribution of private universities or any private institution is taking an average student and making them successful. It's not that they're taking all the 98%, 96%, right? We take the average student and convert them to success stories. I think that's where the work needs to be done, and that's one of the reasons why I feel that, you know, private universities are doing a great job. These students should be lost. That also doesn't mean that I'm saying that only average students come to private universities. There are a lot of students who are highly qualified also who come. Because let's try and understand that we have a problem of plenty, which Professor Aggarwal just said. We have a problem of plenty. And I agree with him that our entrance exams are an exam of rejection, not selection, right? So I think if a student does not get into an IIT or any of these kind of NITs, it's not the end of the world. Relax. You know, if you're determined to succeed, and if you're going to do good, if you're going to take advantage of the faculty members, the institutions, what's available in the institution, nobody can stop you. And so I don't think that students should really worry too much about it. I also want to add one element in this to students, at least in this year. Take a gap year. Relax. The world is not going to end if you don't study for 1 year, right? If you don't feel comfortable, you don't want to go through online, hey, relax. It's not the end of the world. You are going to be as good or as bad as everybody this year. And please trust me, a lot of students world over are taking a gap year. Okay. No harm in taking a gap year if you're not comfortable, right? I'm not encouraging you, but I'm not discouraging you to do that, right? Otherwise, go for online education. Most of our Indian universities are coming up to that level. I still don't feel that we are there in terms of what actually online education should be. But I think we have done pretty well in trying to make some adjustments at a very, very short period, given that the culture of online education never existed in India. It was thrust upon us, and I think we did adjust to it quite fast. And obviously, some of the private universities, I think, had already created the infrastructure for that, and therefore it was good. So my advice to students is, if you get into the IITs, go for it, don't worry. And you should not think about it, right? It's a good place. But if you get in any other place, if you get in Manorasna or Rishiyur or Amity or Opijindal, go. Feel comfortable. You know.
Thank you so much, Professor Mishra. For time, I have to pause you there. Now, there's some interesting points made by panelists, dear students who are watching us today. And I think, go for your passion and what you really want to do.
One thing, Ashwin.
I'll come back to you, Professor Raj. I have a question for you on that. So if you have questions, we still have a little bit more time. So put the questions and we'll try to answer as we can. So Professor Raj, you have a comment, but I have a question for you. What is the role of rankings, ratings, accreditation while a student is selecting an institution, and how they should use all these mediums in as a health warning, basically? And you can make your statement and answer this as well.
So I can't do better than what the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Cambridge said once famously, that rankings don't capture everything that we do in the university, but I like it when the Cambridge University is ranked #1 in the world. So, basically, there is something to be said about it, that all of us have a kind of a love-hate relationship with rankings. Universities understand it better. So one should do what one thinks is right in the interest of the university and should be focusing on that. So that's goal-orientedness. You need to understand your vision and your imagination for what institution building is all about, and to strengthen that mission, which includes, as I said before, the ability to hire the most outstanding people as faculty, to provide opportunities for bright students to afford education in an institution by scholarships, to create an intellectually vibrant ecosystem so that the students get the best of the experiences, to build partnerships and to be able to create international engagement and bring both faculty and students from around the world into India and to your own campuses. All the things that you actually think are important for fulfilling the vision and mission of the university, you should do it. Now, as an outcome of that, if all those things that you're doing is actually helping you with the rankings, so be it, and do more of it. But I don't believe in essentially changing your own vision and doing something totally different from what you actually set out to do just because the rankings methodology would like you to do that. And that's why you need to be very self-aware of what the institution's mission is, and in that process. And I do believe when you do that, almost all good rankings methodology will reflect that. Your own rankings, the QS and the Times Higher Education, the Shanghai Jiatong, if you look at those methodologies very carefully, it's exactly what good universities around the world have done for decades and centuries. There's nothing that the rankings actually do anything totally different or expect anything totally different from what you anyway should be doing. I want to quickly weigh in on the question of entrance examinations. Now, let me tell you, we are facing an absolute crisis in the Indian higher education as we speak this moment. The entire system is now facing a lot of anxiety and angst, uncertainty among the students. Every week we hear news about an entrance examination postponed or deferred to a future date, which is also going to be postponed further. And has gone through different levels of governance and is also gone up all the way to the different high courts of India and also in the Supreme Court of India. As an educationist and as a lawyer, I feel there's something fundamentally wrong in that. As much as I believe that courts have a very important role in dispute resolution, these are matters that need to have been sorted out much before and much earlier. I can only say that, I said that before, private universities have been far more, let's say, caring when it comes to student aspirations at some level. Many of us, including the people who are sitting here, but clearly we for one decided just after the lockdown that all our entrance examinations will go online, artificial intelligence enabled and remote proctored examination. Believe it or not, when we took that decision in the month of March, many people were not very happy about it. Now every institution is lining up to do the exact thing that we did 3.5 months before. So in a way, what I'm trying to tell you is that this is a moment we need to do what I have elsewhere called the FIFA model. We need to have freedom, innovation, flexibility, and adaptability in everything that we are doing. This has fundamentally reimagined our higher education system. No point in arguing about issues that are not relevant at this point of time. The only thing that is critical is the paramount interest of the student. And I entirely agree with Dr. Mishra that the gap year model, but we will also accept that the gap year model is something so much far-fetched in the imagination of a lot of people in India. It continues to remain a Western model and few people will choose that. So if you had to make a choice between going to an institution, I would say you need to inevitably have to make a choice to go into a private university and actually do it, not because you didn't get into a public university, because you should end up believing, and I say this with a full sense of responsibility, having studied in public universities in India and now heading a private university, these tags and titles are less relevant now than ever before. All of us are contributing to the public education, including common good, and the very idea of a private university that we are called today is deeply pejorative and I dare say offensive.
Thank you so much, Professor Raj. Professor Bhatt wants to have a.
I would just add to what Raj said. Actually, when we look at our children, when he is up to in the school, we want him to go to the private school. And suddenly something happens and we say that now we do not want him to send to the private school. Actually, everyone wants to send him to some convent or some English medium school, and they do not want to send a child to the government school up to 10. So what is that what transition has taken place? See, as far as the institutions are concerned, each institution has its own culture, as has been said already. every institution. When we talk about these government and private institutions, the differences are as far as funding is concerned. In government institutions, government pays the money, whereas in private institutions, it is the students who actually pay the money, pay the funds, and from which these universities run actually. So there is no difference actually. Now look at another thing. As of today, we have about 80% institutions are, students are studying in private institutions, 80% of the students. And our gross enrollment ratio is 25. Government is saying that we will increase it to 50. So therefore, the additional number of institutions which will come up will only come up in private sector. So therefore, this number, which is presently around 80%, it might go to 90, 95% of this will ultimately be in the private sector only. The question is this institution doing its job for which it has been created very effectively? Whether it is addressing to the academics sincerely, honestly, whether research is being carried out, whether the innovation and incubation is being nurtured, whether we are looking at the interest of the students will become very, very important. And that is what needs to be done. In institutions, we need to look at how the industry is involved in designing and delivery of the courses, which will become very, very essential thing when we look at the placement, when we look at the relevance and recency of the curriculum. These are some of the things which people should look at. And you will see that the private institutions are much faster in adopting to these things, implementing these things, which I have seen, because throughout my life, I was working in a government system, and the changes taking, when we want to change something there, it is almost a Herculean task. Whereas here you can easily implement it when you see that it is in the interest of the students. Thank you.
Indeed. So students, the verdict is very clear. We are looking, and for you, for this year particularly, private universities will provide you the path, and we have some great universities in the fair today, and you can go and explore them. There are many questions related to specific subjects which we can't take on the panel. So please reach out to the counselors which are available. There's a chat function later on. So there's specific questions which could also go to specific universities. But I'll have one question which I like to take, and I like to put that to Professor Shukla, is how do we, this question is coming from Anshuman Gupta. It says, and I think he's making us a question here, which says, how do we do a comeback after not getting admission in a prestigious college in our career, or perhaps masters? So I think the question is more on, if I don't get into my dream college, what do I do? The world doesn't end at this time. So what's your piece of advice, Professor Shukla?
You know, it's not important that which institution you get the admission. Important is what is your aspiration, and which institution fulfills that aspiration. You know, what kind of the curriculum the institution provides to meet your aspiration, which kind of teaching learning the institution provides, what kind of the industry connect institution provides, or the internationalization opportunity provides, the kind of the quality of the faculty which they have, the kind of the student engagement that provides, and most important, when it comes to career aspiration, what kind of the support facility the institution provides. That's the most important. You may go maybe to the topmost institution, but that may not be able to provide those facilities. The important is which institution can meet your career aspiration. That's most important, because as we say that with the COVID-19 pandemic, the industry scenario has changed so much. The new age skill sets are needed. The old skill sets will not be any more needed. So therefore, having the problem solving, having the creativity, innovation, evaluation, and that's very important. And also the how you build a strong emotional quotient and the social quotient, rather than the the IQ. IQ is okay, but more is the EQ, and the SQ becomes very, very important. So they are the universities who provide right from the counseling, the emotional counseling, the student support, as well the career support, specific to the career aspirations, whether if you want to go for the corporate career, separately the universities help. If you want to start your own venture, the separate facilities are created which help. If you want to go for higher education, also the how to choose a particular institution, the universities provide it. So therefore the private universities have that kind of the support and the bandwidth to cater to the individual students' needs, which is the most important. Today it cannot be the masses, it has to be how to handhold every single student and groom to their meeting their aspirations. So I think that you should not feel disheartened if you don't get the admission in the top university which you are considering. Settle for the university who will support you, who will guide you, who will make you winner. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be winner on your skill set, competencies, not on the brand of the university where you are going to sit. So with this, I think you should choose the university rightly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Shukla. I'll take one more question because I find it very interesting. And that's for Professor Prabhu. And if anybody else on the panel wants to answer this as well, I'll give the opportunity. It's of Nidhi Dhankar, which says, I think the problem is if you don't get into a government college, then you settle for a private college. Is it a reality or a myth that you'll get you don't get a high salary after that? So yeah, so
again, I think if I understand the question correctly, Ashwin, if I don't get into a government college and get into a private university, then I don't get a high salary.
Yes, that's the question. Is that a reality or a myth? Is the student's question.
That is a myth. That is a myth. I mean, unfortunately, that is a big myth. There is a big, I think all my colleagues here have spoken to the fact that what you end up doing at school and how you create your career and what effort you put into building, it's going to determine everything down the road for you. The first job is just the first job. I mean, I know of all these universities, from the MITs to the OP Jindals to Manav Rachanas and NIIT and Rishi Hood, and I know what they're capable of doing and what their graduates are doing, and they have moved into top leadership positions. So just that the only thing I'm just going to say, that's a big myth. But salaries are salaries. I mean, we do very, very well in the marketplace. Our average packages are great. The number of the number of industries that absorb our private university students is the majority, right? I mean, there are hardly any so-called government institutions that are producing employable students.
Indeed.
Their employability, I mean, if we look at the larger construct in terms of employability, the largest gap is in government institutions. You put aside the IITs, you put aside those 5-10 IITs, So please, that is a big myth. I'm sure my colleagues will agree.
Ashwin, I want to just add one thing in this.
Please. Yes, Professor Mishra.
I personally think that this is just a thought process of that particular student, which is not based on any realities or understanding of the market, given the age maybe of the student. I think salaries are not based on whether you are coming from a private institution or a public institution. They are based on what the student is able to deliver, at the workplace. So I don't think that any student should think that they will be better off if they go to a government college versus they go to a private college. They just need to acquire the skills and work hard. As I always say, irrespective of the university you are, irrespective of the discipline that you're going to choose, there is one thing that is very important. There's always a lot of space at the top. So be good. And that's what is required. If you are in the top of your class, no matter where you are, you're going to do well.
Thank you so much, Professor Mishra. Professor Raj, you had something you'd like to add?
I want to say that we need to probably, a little bit challenge that particular question from a different standpoint. While all of us can give data about that, I think we need to also recognize that it's important for us to educate young people to think and even transcend beyond measuring quality of institutions on the basis of the ability to get high salaries soon after they graduate. I think it might be relevant for some disciplines, but a vast array of disciplines that universities are engaged with. If you're going to be in liberal arts and humanities and social sciences, or even within the areas which does fetch a lot of salary, one might do other things as well. I cannot help but reflect on a book written by a political and moral philosopher named Michael Sandel, in which he talked about what money can't buy, the moral limits of markets, in which Michael argued about the importance of building a society in which everything that we do should not be measured in monetary terms. There ought to be something money can't buy, and there has to be moral limits on markets. And we have to develop a self-fulfilling young adults that can transcend beyond the salary-based assessment, and also to measure the return on investment in higher education, not after the next 2 to 3 years, but for a 50-year window of their entire life, are also values that we need to impress upon them.
Thank you so much, Professor Raj. I have one final closing statement which I would like everybody to make. Imagine we have a vaccine for COVID. Everybody's vaccinated at the end of the year. We go back to the universities. How do you foresee the new normal in your university, and how you can assure students that you have taken whatever safety precautions you have? So I'll give it this 1 minute each, make it as, I'll try to stop here 1 minute because we already overran by 12. So we'll start with Professor Raj and go around the round table, please.
Well, thank you so much. So since we have already vaccinated, and I assume that the vaccine has fulfilled the efficacy test and it actually works, we don't need to be worried about COVID at least. I will say that we will definitely not abandon the project of online education. We need to focus a lot more on blended learning. We would continue to engage on the online experiment that we started. We will also recognize the extraordinary importance of experiential learning, and many of those opportunities that were left out for students will be brought back. We will continue to believe in the idea of a residential university campus, which was also deprived for students when they left. So we will welcome those students to be back on campus in those residential environment. We will definitely reimagine, the significant travel-based conferences that we need to do. I mean, one of the things that universities can rethink about is its own contribution towards climate change by, significant travels can be reduced so that online-based engagement can also happen, not necessarily entirely, but part of it can also be done pretty effectively. These are some of the things that we will do when we have a vaccine, and all of us can be sure that we will not get COVID.
Professor Shukla?
Yeah. See, if the vaccine comes, and for me, still the new normal will be the self-discipline and the precaution taking. We will still continue, because we started this experiment of flipped mode of teaching, where the content is online for the student and the classroom interaction, which we are doing the online mode, the interaction. So we'll continue with our blended learning or the flipped mode of teaching, because that gives a lot of learning to the students. And we will focus on, because that's our forte, we will focus on the industry connection and the alumni connection, because that gives a lot of learning to the students when they interact with the industry and all. And we will use the both mode, visit of the industry, as well as having the online interaction with the industry. And we have very beautiful system of the mentoring system, where each student has the industry mentor and the alumni mentor. That will further strengthen by using the the online platform. Entrepreneurship development is going to be a very big focus of Amity, where we have developed the very big ecosystem for the entrepreneurship development, and now we are going to focus more on innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship development, supporting the student. Another aspect which will be focusing on the student who wants to go and join back the family business, supporting the family businesses and the students in the succession planning and taking up the new role in the organization, and the students who want to go for the corporate career, really building those skill set and competencies which are required in the industry 4.0 and beyond. So therefore, the focus will be on the skill development, competence development, and the global exposure. May not be the physical visit to the international universities or but collaborating with the international university, where they can get the online international exposure, and exposure to that. So that's the way we are going to focus, and we are truly looking forward the students to come back to campus. But for us, the safety and well-being of the student is of prime importance. And till the new normal, till the situation normalizes and government permits coming to the students coming to the campuses, we will continue with our online education or in the remote mode.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shukla. Professor Prabhu, you like to have a go at this?
Yes. Well, what Dr. Shukla and Raj have already mentioned, I hope the new normal is not returning to what we have been doing before COVID-19 struck us all. I think this is a huge opportunity for all of us in the private university space and in general the higher education space to reimagine what technology can do for us. How can things be expanded? How we can reimagine everything? How do students study? What is flexibility? I also imagine now that we can have the best faculty teaching at our universities without even actually having them as our permanent faculty members. This is the open innovation model of UC Berkeley that does that, promotes the idea of collaboration. So, there are some amazing opportunities that come. We have always had this issue that this university is located at point A, that place is in point B, that's not a very exciting place to live, so on and so forth. If you're a non-residential school, it's a different story. If the residential school, of course, our residential facilities are waiting to welcome back our students one day, but safety and security is paramount. So I just think that we should all look at this as an opportunity that has been thrown open for us to see how we can reimagine what universities ought to look like in the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. What's the decade going to look like? It's not going to be a 6-month journey anymore. So we are, I think, up for the challenge in a big way.
All right.
We're not going to abandon. I think, we would like to continue with some of our online blended learn from home models. There's such powerful tools. We can reach a very wide audience. We can do a lot of exciting stuff around it. So yeah, those are some of the high level thinking points that I have right now.
Thank you so much, Professor Prabhu. Professor Bhatt, you like to contemplate on the new normal?
The most important thing for us, the university, is the health of our students. And unless we find that everything is normal and these things do not affect any way the health of any of our students, we will continue to be on the using online mode. We will use both synchronous and asynchronous methods, which will help the student. In fact, in this process, it has been seen that students are taking the responsibility of learning, which is not true in face-to-face necessarily. Number one. Number two, this can be, you must have seen that in our case, where the attendance used to be normally around 75 to 80% in the class, in these classes, it is above 95%, more than 95% to 100%. So therefore, one can see that the students are owning it. And I think this is a method which will continue to be there for some more time. We will continue with this mode and will keep on educating our students, giving them the skill set of tomorrow by using the technology, which is more important than coming to the campus.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Bhatt. Professor Mishra, would you like to conclude the last?
Yeah, I'm going to take a vacation as soon as this is over. I really need it badly. But on a serious note, I think there is no doubt that blended learning is the way to go. And I think Rishu University, being a new university, has certain advantages and has certain disadvantages in this period. And I think one of the greatest advantages is that we can install our technology according to what we really need, and we don't need to tinker with the existing system. So our technology, we are adapting it based on the thought that flexible blended learning is the approach that we will go with, where we will provide flexibility to the faculty to start with about 50 to 20% of component that they can have in their blend, and then based on their experience and they can decide to increase that proportion over a period of time. So that's definitely something that we will be doing very much. I think I also feel that probably it's, even if we have a vaccine by December, January or something, I don't think that we will be seeing students on the campus for the next academic year. That's my thought. All of us would think, hopefully we are wrong, but I think that's where we are heading towards. I think it's also time for us to think how universities need to be once we cross this issues that we are facing. I think one of the things that we are trying to learn is the dangers of human action that can happen. And we would like to adapt to those things into our systems, or into our curriculum, and also create an environment where students are very sensitive and aware of these kind of dangers that will exist in our world. And they need to be prepared for these kind of things. That negative actions of human beings have a major impact on the life of everybody in the world. And I think those are kind of things that we are going to bring into the system. And we hope that the students will have a different kind of experience. We are moving towards a new model of learning, where we say that only 20% of the learning has to come from what we call as lectures. 30% is what needs to come from seeing things, and 50% needs to come from doing things. So this is a new model that we are evolving: 20% by hearing, 30% by seeing, and 50% by doing. And this is a new model that we are putting based on the experiences that we are going through right now. And I'm very confident that it'll work very well in training our students.
Thank you so much, Professor Kamlesh, and a great panel. I'm so glad I could moderate this and bring all the thoughts together. My thanks to SANJEEV BOLIA from Afairs. The students who are watching, don't yet leave, because you have to go into the fair and talk to these universities, understand what the offerings are, ask questions. It's technologically enabled, so please do that today. And I'm sure if you have any specific questions to any of the vice chancellors, the emails are available on their website. I'm sure if you reach out to them, they will be happy to answer them, or the teams will answer them for you. But thank you so much, Professor Raj Kumar, Professor Balvinder Shukla, Professor Prabhu Aggarwal, Professor I.K. Bhatt, and Professor Kamlesh Mishra. I'm so pleased I could talk to you all today and get these questions answered for all these students. I will wish you all the best. All the best to our viewers. I'm signing off from QS. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Before we sign off, I think I would just like to add 2 more sentences to all. We are very thankful to all the vice chancellors for breaking 2 myths today. One, the students always feel that vice chancellors are not approachable, so we've broken that myth. We've got 5 leading vice chancellors from Indian top universities inside the comfort of your home. Secondly, as Dr. Raj said, death by a webinar. So we would like to say that I think we've given you life by this webinar because of the number of questions that have come flooding in. Thank you so much, dear students. Please log on to virtualadmissionsfair.com and get a real life experience to meet virtually the top leading universities. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you, SANJEEV.
Thank you.
Great to see all of you.